Welcome to everybody. Hi. Hola, hi. Ahora me contestan en todos los idiomas.
Hi.
Bueno, pues arrancamos el segundo día de la Feria Sabor a Málaga en Mijas. Hoy esto tiene otro ambiente. Ayer había colegio, había gente trabajando y hoy aquí ha salido la gente como los caracoles. No, los caracoles salen con el agua, ¿no? Con los lagartos salen al sol. Y estamos ya con los puestos bien ambientados. Ese señor tiene que ser medio lagarto porque cuando he dicho los lagartos se ha reído y además viene de verde. ¿Eh? Y estamos aquí ya con los puestos ambientaditos, las mesas se empiezan a sentar nuestros clientes. Tú mira, aquí tenemos cafelito, tenemos cervecita. Como digo en todas las ferias, aun a riesgo de repetirme, estamos aquí para ofrecerles todo tipo de productos locales malagueños, quesos, vinos, aceites, embutidos, mermeladas, panadería, repostería, unas galletas deliciosas, espirulinas, patatas fritas, barritas energéticas. Tengo que ir mirando porque después algunos cerveza artesana de ronda. Es que después no me has dicho chorizo picante, chorizo dulce, café, chocolate, agua para
Muchas cosas.
y cómo no, empezamos con nuestras actividades. En el día de hoy y ya en otras ocasiones sabemos que tenemos que llevar Sabor a Málaga mucho más allá de Málaga. Ya sabemos, hacemos ferias internacionales, Madrid, Barcelona, Galicia, hemos estado en Chile, hemos estado en Alemania, hemos estado en un montón de sitios y hemos visto que a la gente le gustan los productos de Málaga.
Hombre,
Entonces,
¿cómo no?
con mi querida amiga, dije yo, oye, señorita, no voy a decir todavía tu
Por
nombre.
favor, señorita.
Señorita, ¿y si hacemos una...? Porque a mí el inglés se me da regular. Me da vergüenza hablarlo en público.
Habla muy bien inglés, pero...
Thank you very much. Y entonces dije yo, oye, Hanni, ¿por qué no...? Ya he dicho el nombre. ¿Por qué no hacemos una actividad enfocada al turista residente o a los extranjeros que vengan a la feria y puedan conocer los productos, oye, en su propio idioma, ¿no?
Exacto, digo yo.
Y entonces decidimos de venir con Hanni Martini y el señor Ron Bacardi, ¿me dijiste de apellido?
Sí,
Sí,
hombre,
Ron Bacardi.
no te has equivocado.
Y después de Hanni Martini Rojo y Ron Bacardi, pues yo a partir de hoy me voy a llamar Ignacio Mojito, ¿vale? Ignacio Mojito malagueño.
Sí.
Bueno, pues os pido, ya sea en inglés o en español, un fuerte aplauso para ellos porque empezamos la actividad de Sabor a Málaga alrededor del mundo.
Y aquí también, señor.
Bueno, Hanni, tú estás en tu casa. Ron, después de la actividad veremos si sigues en tu casa o volvemos a contar contigo,
Vamos a
¿no?
ver.
Pero bienvenido y yo me quedo aquí abajo, ¿os parece?
Perfecto, me
Pues
parece
muy bien,
perfecto.
Carlos, tú te quedas
Gracias.
aquí también, ¿eh? Vale.
Gracias, Ignacio.
Muchas gracias.
Ignacio,
Ignacio,
he is our
sí.
technical director of Sabor a Málaga. We're going to switch now to English for the next 45 minutes or so.
least.
Right, Ron? I am, as Ignacio said, Hanni Martini. I am going to be your host for the next 45 minutes. I am going to pass over in a minute to Ron, who is the real talent here. But before I do that, I would like to just welcome you to Mijas, to the Sabor a Málaga Feria, and tell you a little bit more about what the objective of the Feria is. Sabor a Málaga is an organization that has been set up to promote the incredible independent artisan producers that we have in Malaga province, to support them in getting out to the public. Some of these cases, you've got one or two people working in a bodega or on a farm, and they don't necessarily have the huge marketing machines that some of the bigger companies do, and so that's where Sabor a Málaga comes in. I've been working in the area of Malaga gastronomy for the last 9 years. I'm originally from England, but I moved here to Malaga 9 years ago and really immersed myself in the food and drink scene. Really because I didn't know anything about it. And to me, as a Brit, coming to Spain and not really understanding how we do food here, how the Spanish eat, not understanding the meal times, and not understanding the language at that time either, I felt that getting to know the culture through the food was a great idea. And it turns out I've got to know the culture pretty well. I've got to know the people pretty well. I now have a fair grasp on the language, and I know a lot about the food and drink, really just from eating and drinking it. So what we want to do with this exercise over the next hour is, introduce a few more of the products, introduce the concept of Sabor a Malaga. We're going to do a lovely wine tasting, which wasn't announced as the event. So thank you all for turning up, even though you didn't know there was going to be free wine on offer. So that's a great start. Hopefully it's just going to get better and better from here. So we're going to do a wine tasting. We've got some delicious products that we're going to pair the wines with. Ron is the wine expert. I run a food tour company in Malaga called Food Experience Malaga, and I'm also the owner of a company called A Taste of Malaga with the objective of pairing or closing the gap between local producers and suppliers and the non-native market that there is here in Malaga, so non-native Spanish people that are either visiting on holiday or are here living as residents as well. And Ron is, as I am to food, Ron is to wine. Is that about right?
That's absolutely 100% right.
So I'm going to hand over to you, Ron, to introduce yourself, because Ron is our wine expert today.
My name is Ron Hamann. I came to Malaga already 23 years ago. Just before this huge hype started here in Malaga. I think it's now one of the most popular tourist destinations even in the world. And I went to a very small little wine bar in the center of town. And imagine in those days there were almost no wine bars at all in Malaga. Hard to imagine, but it was like that. And I went to this little wine bar, and of course I asked for a red wine. And maybe you experienced the same as I did. It's still happening. If you ask for a red wine or a white wine, they will immediately respond to you, "Sir, what do you want? You want the Ribera del Duero or you want the Rioja?" So I said to the guy, no, sir, I want something from here. I'm coming from the Netherlands, I'm Dutch. Give me, please, a glass of wine from Malaga. And I will never forget what he said in front of me. He said in front of me a glass of wine with the name Baron Principe de Hohenlohe. I said to myself, this is strange, a German name. I'm in the southern part of Spain, and I'm served a German wine. So the next day, I started to study this wine, and it was indeed a German who started the bodega in Ronda. Together, he was a famous jet setter in Marbella, and he worked together with a guy, Juan Manuel Freitas. He is a local. He's really maybe one of the best winemakers here in the region, who studied years and years in Bordeaux with the best chateaus and came back to Malaga to start a winery here. And I think what Juan Manuel Freitas did, together with Baron de Hohenlohe, is really the start, the revival of Malaga as a wine region of importance. Because maybe you don't know, but Malaga used to be, we're talking about the late 19th century, the #1 wine region in the world. Now with 100,000 hectares of wine, that's even double what Rioja now is doing. And Rioja is now, together with Ribera del Duero, the most important wine region in Spain. Because we lost everything because of the Phylloxera, this insect that damages all the vines. So that's another story. So I started as Ron from the Netherlands, like Hanni, not familiar with the wines from Malaga, to study the theme of Malaga wines. And ever since that day that I fall in love with Malaga wine, I'm studying it. I used to have a wine bar in Malaga. I have now, like Hanni, a company that's called Malaga Wine Guide, dedicated at wine tourism. We visit the bodegas, do a lot of wine takes, etc. Also only working with Malaga wines. What are we going to do today?
Good question.
We are going to do a little wine tasting. We are going to try to explain you with only 3 wines what really is happening in the world of Malaga. And for me, it's a little bit the magic of the traditional way of winemaking. I will explain a little bit later about what the traditional winemaking techniques are, and young, modern winemakers that make super fresh, young, elegant wines. We are going to do a little bit also of wine and food pairing together. You will explain all the food, and I will explain the wine, and to see how we can pair the excellent wines from Malaga with the excellent food we see here on the market today.
Excellent. Sounds amazing. I am ready to get started on the wine tasting. Don't know about you, Ron.
Sorry.
I'm excited to get started on the wine tasting.
Let's well, they also. Yeah.
Are we excited to get started on trying some wine? It's 12:25. It is perfect time for breakfast wine.
Yeah.
What are we going to be starting with?
We are going to start with Moscatel Secco.
Okay.
And I have to a little bit to explain you. This region was, of course, absolutely 100% famous for his Moscatel wines. You know, and Moscatel is a wine that normally was used here in the southern part of Spain for making sweet wines, even super sweet wines. And I think it started maybe 15 years ago that a clever winemaker said to himself, maybe we can also make a beautiful dry wine from Moscatel. And it is quite a challenge because, you know, Moscatel we are going to taste is one of the most aromatic grape varieties in the world. It's not Sauvignon Blanc, but it's close. You will find it if you smell the wine. So there's also, you know, this type of wine is a word in Spanish you cannot translate into English. This wine is called afrutado. It's full of the aromas of Moscatel. But afrutado means that it has a little bit of a sensation of being a sweet wine, whilst it's not. You know, if you look at a little bit of a winemaking technique, winemaking is very simple. You have the must, you start the fermentation. That means that the sugar is transformed into CO2 and alcohol. And if you do a complete fermentation, there's no sugar left. And that means you have a dry wine. Yeah, and this is a dry wine. Later we will taste a sweet wine.
So this
but
has had...
in the nose, yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. So this has had the full fermentation.
This is fully fermented. It's a dry wine, although every white wine, even the most driest white wine, they have also always a little bit of residual sugar.
Okay.
In this case, maybe 3, 4, 5 grams per liter of wine. So that's what it is. Well, first of all, you know, okay, we are not going to do a very technical wine tasting, looking at the color. But the nose is spectacular. Start with the nose, please. Look, this is really Moscatel.
We'll get to you. We will get to you at the back.
Yeah.
At least those of you that have glasses.
That gives me the opportunity to say a little bit more about the Moscatel.
Do.
And now it started this development of Moscatel. In my opinion, as a sommelier, this is now the most emblematic wine of the whole province. And most bodegas are making a dry Moscatel. We are now going to taste a Moscatel from Victoria Ordóñez. She's a winemaker who is really trying to revive the use of authentic grape varieties she's looking at little plots that were dead for many years, and she's producing super quality wines. And this is her mid-range level, well-made, affordable Moscatel Seco. But it's not only Victoria Ordóñez. There are many bodegas. We have Nilva here. Please try if you go to the Nilva bodega.
Yeah.
Their vineyards are right along the coastline, so they are a little bit more minerality to it. But all the bodegas from the Axarquía, I think more or less 30 bodegas are making dry Moscatel.
Dry Moscatel. Because Moscatel is one of the grapes that's most iconic in Malaga. It's native to this area.
Absolutely.
I think there are only 3 that are native to Malaga. Is that
Douradilla, Moscatel, and Pedro Jiménez.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the dry Moscatel is, if you ask for a dry white wine from Malaga, it's more than likely going to be a Moscatel.
No, and that is something, Annie, a very good question. Something which still, well, let me be honest with you, it irritates me a little bit, you know. That should be the case. But they will serve you in Rueda. They will not
but from Malaga,
so,
I mean.
No,
from
you have
Malaga.
to ask for it. If you go to a bar and you ask for a white wine, they certainly will not serve you a Moscatel.
No.
So you have to be really, if you like this style of wine, it's a little bit, I think, acquired taste. It's very, in the whole wine world, there's nothing you can compare with this style of wine. You really have to ask, please give me a Moscatel Seco from Malaga.
Yeah. But it's worth asking.
It's worth asking. Yeah. Are we there?
Are we there yet? Nearly there. I think we can start sniffing at least.
Sniffing.
And get our noses in there.
Don't do this with your glass before smelling the wine. You start with just smelling the wine, getting the aromas, and then for the secondary aromas you do this. You waltz the wine and you're going to taste.
Okay, so I'm a rookie is what Ron's saying. Don't watch anything I'm doing for the next half an hour, because I immediately just did this before I put my nose in. So ignore me, pay attention to Ron. But yeah, let's get our noses in, shall we?
So what do we, is this something, you know, we are not going to do the blah, blah, blah wine test. It's something you smell in the glass, you say, Ron, this is really the first hint of...
I can smell pear.
You could smell?
Pears.
Yeah, absolutely there, absolutely. White fruit, not too ripe, is there.
Anything else? Any shout-outs from the front?
Nothing.
What can we smell? I knew. I was asking for that, wasn't I? The answer was wine. I got there. Very clever.
No, but Henny's very right. You know, the tropical fruit side is there, but it's mainly also very floral. Orange blossom, a little bit like that. Jasmine, that's really typical of this Moscatel. And you see, do you agree with me that in the nose, that this Affrutalo, you might think, this is a sweet wine.
Yeah.
But if you would taste it, it's not even close to being a sweet wine.
Okay.
Okay, let's try it.
Let's have a sip. Last. Hang on. Ooh,
What do you
yummy.
think, honey?
I love it.
I
So
love it.
refreshing.
It's so refreshing. That's also very important that if you produce, it's a little bit, the risk of climate change that it's going to be too hot here to produce a really good wine. Because every wine, whether it's a sweet wine, we are going to finish the tasting with a very sweet wine. A good wine needs to have acidity. It needs to be well balanced between the fruits and whatever you do with and whatever taste you can find and the acidity. And this, for a wine from the southern part of Spain, from Malaga, it has loads of acidity.
It does, but not too much. It's not as acidic as an Albarino, for example. It's still got that fruitiness, that slight, not a sweetness as you say, but definitely that fruity, floral flavour to it. It's really, really very, very drinkable. So, should we talk about what we might pair this wine with?
Absolutely. I'll leave it in for
because what I learned, one of the first things I learned when I moved to Spain was how very, very different the drinking culture is here to the drinking culture in the UK. And one of the key differences is that here in Spain, it is very, very, very unusual, very rare to see a Spaniard sitting around drinking without having something to eat to accompany it. Whether it is a small bowl of almonds, whether it's a small bowl of olives, or whether it's a full meal, Spanish generally put wine and food hand in hand. And so that's been a real learning curve for me since I got here as a typical Brit who'd go to a pub on a Friday night and drink 5 glasses of wine without having a bite to eat. And so we've gone for a pairing today with something that wouldn't necessarily come to mind when you think of a white wine. Would you like to tell me what you would think of food-wise with a fresh, crisp white wine, dry white wine? What would you think of normally? Fish, seafood? Exactly. It's the obvious choice. But we haven't gone for fish or seafood.
Done that.
We've gone for a spicy chorizo picante. Ron and I believe that the spiciness of that sausage cuts really well through the wine and vice versa. I think it's just a really, really unusual, unexpected pairing, but it works so well. And again, with meat, we might often expect to pair meat more with red wines. But yeah, we've gone for it with this fresh white wine. I think it's a great pairing. I wonder if we're going to get a bit of chorizo to try.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, that is because if you look, especially because Spain is not famous for its spicy food. We all know that, and they are a little bit, with spicy food. It's too much.
I mean, sorry to interrupt, but we have a handful of Spaniards sitting here in the corner representing, and they just had their heads blown off by the spice.
Yeah, but no problem at all. I'm not afraid.
No? Picante.
And also for a sommelier, it's quite difficult, to do good food pairing and spicy food. I would say normally when I have, for example, a good Chinese meal, I would prefer Chinese tea instead of wine because it's difficult.
Yeah.
But I start to explain this wine with the word affrutado, this sweet sensation that has, and that sweet sensation, affrutado, goes very well with the spiciness. Mm-hmm. So you have to wait a little bit because the chorizo is very spicy. You have to wait a little bit. When in the retrogusto, in the aftertaste, the spiciness comes up, and then take a sip of wine and see how the two of together are going very well indeed. And that is for white wine and spicy food quite extraordinary.
So Malaga is really, really, really good at embutidos, which is the word that we use to describe charcuterie, cured meats. And we have a huge selection of embutidos available on the market today. So definitely go around. Everyone here is giving tasters, so you can probably get a bit more grub in before you buy. You can try everything before you buy. The one that you've just tried, the chorizo picante, which can also be grilled, it would be amazing on the barbecue or hot in a sandwich, is actually from La Abuela Loli, which is just over here in Alorin el Grande, which is a town not that far away from here.
Super.
And yeah, she has provided us with that lovely chorizo picante today. It's quite hard to find a spicy one, so even though that for some people might not have been blow your socks off spicy, it's up there on the spice scale for a normal Malaga chorizo. So yeah, if you really liked that and you want to buy it, go over and see those guys over there. And like I say, take your time wandering around the market if you haven't already and have a try of some other embutidos. Oh, boy, here we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What would you say, Hanni, if we look at the local cuisine here in the region? I think it also goes very well with gambas pil pil. I think like that, which is quite a dish from here.
Excellent. Yeah.
Might be excellent also. This type of wine,
Yeah.
everything with a little bit of spiciness.
Anything
works
with a bit
well.
of spice. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Even like a pulpo a la gallega, for
Pulpo a la
example. It's not
gallega with a little
spicy,
bit extra
spicy, but with the
spicy.
pimenton, yeah, I think it would be really nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to get in and try this.
But for me, although, you know, the lovely Malagueños might disagree with me, this is not for me the perfect thing with seafood. There for me, this afrutado, you know, with the concha finas and all those things. Sorry guys, it's not the perfect style. I would then go for a more Albarino, Godello, northern part of Spain type, with a lot more acidity. So,
Okay, I'm going to try my wine again now I've had that
Yeah.
spicy chorizo.
what do you think, guys?
What do you think of the pairing?
Is that
Did
okay?
it work for you? Surprising? Okay, we're all going to go over and buy some chorizo from Lolly afterwards. Perfect. Okay,
Okay.
what have we got
Next
next?
wine. I
Next
think so.
wine.
Next
Let's-
wine.
These guys look like they're up to the challenge of drinking as fast as we can talk, so
So we are going to taste the second wine, which is also, I explained to you that you have this beautiful thing, the traditional wines and the more modern style wines. The second wine, the last wine is a very traditional wine, and the second wine is again a very modern wine. It's 100% Grenache, a red wine, from a bodega in the midst of the Axarquía. And as it is with white wines, also a red wine needs acidity. And it's also quite different to make a red wine. That's the reason why you find the most bodegas making excellent red wines, you find them in Ronda. And that is because to get this freshness and acidity, you need altitude. You know, the higher the vineyard is, you know, the better, the more acidity you will have in your wine. But this is, you know, an exception to the rule. Those vineyards are more or less of 500-600 meters of altitude, and it has beautiful acidity. And then the Grenache grape, it is very famous. Well done, if it's well done, they are fruit bumps. They are loads of red, young, fresh fruit. So that's
So-
what you're going to taste.
can I ask a question? You
Yes.
said this is unusual because it's actually at a much lower altitude than
Yes.
what you would expect to need for an acidity, but it is acidic. How are they getting the acidity if it's not
Very
from the
good question.
altitude?
Just to do the harvest as early as possible.
Ah,
The
okay.
more you let the grape, you know, ripening on the vine,
The sweeter it
the
gets.
sweets, you lose acidity.
Okay.
And the sweetness, if you want to make a sweet wine, you will do, you know, very late harvest.
Makes
That's
sense.
also a way of producing sweet wine, super late harvest. But, you know, you need, you know, to find the balance, to find enough sugar in the grape to make an excellent red wine, and without losing acidity.
Great.
That's maybe
Okay.
the basic element of winemaking. Okay, let's do the red
Let's
wine.
go for it. So the Botani, actually, I learned of the Botani, the white Botani, years and years and years ago, and it was probably the first Moscatel Seco that I ever had. I see some nodding heads back here. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're big fans of the Botani Blanco.
Yeah.
It's actually even more afrutado than the wine that we just tried, than the Habega. But the red, the Grenache, is actually quite a recent discovery for me from this
Well,
bodega.
he's making already, this wine is, I think, 10 years on the market already.
Yeah.
And now there's a new bodega in Axarquía, Fabio Coulet.
Yeah.
I
I
saw
went
a
there.
photo of you. I was
I've
jealous.
been there.
I was jealous. I saw you there.
Next time I'll call you.
I was not invited, you know. My dear colleague. Like a joke. But she's also making a super nice Grenache.
I bought it.
Just- you
I
bought
bought
it.
it.
And how
It
is
was
it? It's also
fantastic.
excellent.
It was very good. Bit more pricey, but
That's right.
worth it because
Yeah.
it's. I mean, we're talking about a place they are Sabor a Malaga as well. It's a garage bodega up in Almachar in the Axarquía, so the other side of Malaga. And he's making some really special wines, and
beautiful
he's
dry
now
Moscatel.
got them in Michelin-star restaurants all over Europe. And but it's incredible because he's making it. He's actually he's a scientist. He's a botanist.
Yeah.
And he's making them literally from a garage in this tiny town of Almachar in the Axarquía, and they're now gaining international fame. Anyway, we digress. He does a great
No,
Grenache.
that is more. And coming back to this Botani, the white Botani, Jorge Ordóñez, the first bodega making that wine. the white Moscatel from Jorge Ordóñez, the Botani. This is the red version. You know, there's one guy in the wine world, he's called Robert Parker. He's the guru, the most famous guy. When he says that the wine is good, everybody goes like this. And he gave the Botani, the vintage from 4 years ago, 95 points. And it was the best white wine in the price category, 10 to 20 euros. So that's,
Wow.
you know, how you see how those Moscatel wines also get momentum. But now we taste the red wine. Look at the color of this red wine, how light.
It is.
You know, it's unbelievable. Eh?
It's almost
the
like
elegancy,
if I think
the
of a-
youngness, the freshness of the Grenache grape.
And it smells fruity. Oh, I've just swished again. I've just swished again before I
Yeah,
smell.
just...
Ignore me. It's really fruity. It's
it's
really good. Raspberries, are we saying down here?
Absolutely.
Yeah. The people at the back haven't got it yet. We're giving
Yeah,
away the
all
answers.
And what more? What do you find more in the nose?
What else?
Raspberry,
For me, blackcurrant.
from Wessas, a little bit.
It's lovely. It's super light. It reminds me of like the color of a Pinot Noir from
Yeah, but this, of course,
cooler
absolutely.
climates.
This is, you know, more or less inderdaad the kappa of a Pinot Noir, which is, of course, a totally different wine.
Yeah.
It's the same if you look at the Rome wines they are now producing, the red wines in the Axtakia. The Sadea, for example, is a little bit the same palate.
Yeah.
But there's here less earthiness and more fruitiness to it, because that's the Grenache grape. But this is, you know, if you chill it a little bit, don't drink it too hot. It must be chilled back to 14, 15 degrees. And then you have your spectacular, young, fruit-driven wine with no wood aging at all. Very nice and elegant.
So again, like culturally speaking, in the UK, where it's, as we all know, lives up to the hype of being cold and wet in the winter.
From Bressas, from Bessingham.
We tend to go for more full-bodied reds. It feels like a winter sit by the fire, full-bodied red kind of. That's what I was used to drinking, and some of the Grenaches even came with a blend that made them much more
I fully
full-bodied.
agree.
And moving to Spain taught me that red doesn't always have to be full-bodied, and so I'm more open now to trying these lighter kind of reds. And I think they go so much better with the climate and with the foods available and the diet and all of that kind of
Absolutely.
thing. So, yeah.
And I also think, you know, it fits into the trend. I think the consumer is more and more looking for lighter and more fresh wines. Also because, you know, the fact that the theme of, you know, drinking less alcohol. So I think there's a lot of future. You see a lot of development in the Spanish wine world, not only in Malaga, but also in the rest of Spain, that winemakers are looking for younger styled wines.
Yeah.
And I think that will be an important part of the future, without, of course, losing the spectacular full-bodied wines. We love them. We also love them.
We still love them, obviously. Give me a steak and a full-bodied red wine any day of the week.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're trying today. And actually, we're just about to finish distributing the wine at the back. Just hold off from eating. You've got some cheese being put in front of you. Please resist. It's going to look and smell delicious. Please resist eating it for a minute, because I'm going to talk you
at least
through
you have
it.
something in your glass left.
And I'm also going to invite our cheesemaker up to talk about the cheese.
Yeah.
Oh, the alcohol content. Good question. So in the white,
I think 14
the first
something
one
is quite okay.
is
13.5.
13 and a half. And
So
in
that's
the-
also mean, you know, and that's also because, you know, if you do a lot earlier harvest, then also your level of alcohol will be a little bit lower.
And
That's a combination of sucking a fresh wine. There are almost no fresh wines with a high alcohol level because, you know, the harvest was done quite early.
And the red, the Botany, is 14 and a half.
No, that's what they 14 high. The white is 30. That's
Still a lot, yeah.
still,
a lot.
that's a negative side of being in the southern part of Spain.
Yeah.
And with climate
It's the
change, it will be
byproduct.
difficult to control the level of alcohol in the wines.
Okay, everyone has wine now, correct? There are people who are sitting at a table with chairs. Okay, perfect. So, on the nose, shouts at the back. We got any?
Well, we were already there, man. Raspberry
We were
from
already
Bessas,
there. Raspberry.
that's, you
Any
know,
additions?
Raspberry.
Higher or lower? No. Good. Okay. So on the nose, we're all agreeing it's fruity, raspberry, yum. And are we ready to
Yummy.
give it a taste? Can we
Toast.
taste it yet?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, and a toast.
That's the whole reason for having
Cheers
a
to
glass
us.
of wine.
Cheers to you. Cheers to Sabor a Malaga. Okay. Oh, it's so lovely. What's going on
so-
down here?
You understand my first explanation? This is a fruit bomb. Just super fruity, young fish, nothing to do with heavy body. It's totally different out there. Okay.
What do we think?
What do we think?
Like it? Good. Is this something that you've tried before? Has anybody tried the Garnacha? You have some nose over here.
So, talking about
The white.
Garnacha, if you look at Spain, you might not expect the number one grape variety in Spain is still Tempranillo. But then the second one is Garnacha. Especially also in Rioja. It's used a lot in good Riojas. Of course, in Navarra, very famous for its rosé wines. So Garnacha is a very important grape. It's the second most important grape variety in Spain. And for me, it's a great pleasure that I see now winemakers also using the grape here in Malaga and making this beautiful young wine.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
You're right. I mean, it's almost got hints of a deep rosé. It's not. It's definitely
No, it's
a red.
not, but it just- yeah,
but
no,
it has
it's-
because it's so light compared to, like I say, some of those fuller-bodied reds. Okay, I'm going to ask Raquel to come up
For the cheese,
and explain her cheese. So we've gone with a gorgeous, gorgeous pair of gorgeous. Oh, we've got a question at the front. Oh, good question. Ron, what temperature would you serve it at?
I always said that. I
Oh,
think you have
he
to bring
wasn't
it. No
listening.
problem at all. You have to have a very good question. It's quite okay right now. It's not normally a red wine. It needs to be on room temperature. But don't mistake, room temperature means, that was it's a term from the 18th century. And in those days, room temperature was 17, 18 degrees. It's not what we have now, in our crazy houses, 21 with the air conditioning on.
Yeah.
But if you look at this wine, for me, it's chilled down a little bit to 14, 15 degrees. And that's okay. Because they're not, if you have a high tannic wine, and you drink it too cold, then the tannins get really bitter and you're losing so. But with this style of wine, very low in tannins, just chill it down, like a young Beaujolais. That's like a young wine from Mencía, from Bierzo. Chill it down to 40, 50 degrees, and you have perfect.
Great. Thank you, Ron.
Cheese.
Thanks for just checking that everybody caught the temperature that should be served at the first time. Okay, I'm going to introduce the lovely Raquel. Chris?
Please, the mic on.
Okay, Raquel is our wonderful cheesemaker. Those of you who have been to Sabor a Málaga Feria before undoubtedly will have seen Raquel on the stage speaking in Spanish or English, and you're getting better at this every time, except today we've changed the cheeses.
Yeah.
So Raquel, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so we've paired this lovely Garnacha wine with a cheese, but not just any cheese, some very special cheeses from El Pastor
For
del
El
Torcal.
Pastor del Torcal. El Pastor, hello, good morning, everybody. I'm Raquel, and I come from Antequera. We come from Antequera. My English is so-so, okay? I will try. El Pastor del Torcal, the shepherd of Torcal in Antequera, begins his journey at the end of the 2021, like a value-added bet by Campicer. Campicer is a company that has been producing and marketing Andalusian goat milk for more than 10 years. Our philosophy based in 3 basic principles: to use the quality raw materials, the milk, our milk, come from our extensive livestock farming. Yes, the second one is to follow up a completely artisanal process, but treated with a high hygienic technology. And the second one is that our company is a little artisanal company, and this allowed us to trade, to make a unique and completely dedication to each piece, making a special product.
Amazing. So that's
Yes.
exactly what we were talking about at the
Yes.
start. El Pastor del Torcal is up in Antequera, and as
Yes.
Raquel says, artisan. They're
Yes.
using the modern techniques, but in a very handmade, small producer
Yes.
way.
Yes.
And I just think it's wonderful. And I love working with Raquel and
Thank
these
you very
guys
much.
at the Sabor a Málaga Feria. So, Raquel, tell us a little bit about the cheese that we've picked today to pair with this delicious Garnacha wine.
Thank you. We are starting with this one, with the green cheese. Well, the green cheese is a very special cheese. It is more or less 1 year and a half mature. It is made with raw milk. All artisanal cheeses are made by our hands, the hands of the master cheesemaker. The master cheesemaker has been working with the cheese and learning with the cheese for more than 40 years. All our cheeses are made with our milk of Campiser.
That's important, actually. You
Yeah.
have your own herd of
Oh,
goats,
yes.
lots and lots of goats. So
Yeah.
both of the cheeses that you have in front of you are
Yes.
goats' cheeses, which are most typical from Malaga.
Yes.
You've probably noticed not a lot of rain, not a lot of grass, therefore not a lot of cattle. But goats are very, very hardy, and so
And
we have
extensive life too.
Yeah.
Our cows are free.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
very, very important
Your own
for
land,
us.
yeah.
Yes.
Everything you've done, you've got
Yes.
the animals, the land, and everything all in-house. So
Yeah,
that's important,
yes.
yeah.
And then this is made with raw milk, and it's with the milk, the raw milk, goat rennet, penicillium. I don't know how to say penicillium,
yeah.
penicillium, and salt, and no more. And no more. Then the cheese, when it is made, we put in in special caves or rooms, and 98% of humidity, 8 grades. And we once a week, then once a month, we flip the cheese. And at the 6 months, more or less, we get out the cheese and we cover with Iberian lard. Then we put inside another time in the cave. And at 1 year, we get out another time, and we cover with thyme and rosemary.
Thyme and rosemary.
Then we wrapped in a special paper and go to
market. So,
Yes, go to
so
market.
over a year aging, which is
Yes.
what gives it that almost
Yes.
crumbly, really strong, lovely cured flavour to the cheese. But then with the rosemary and thyme, so first of all they wrap it in, you said manteca,
Manteca, Iberian lard.
lard essentially from the
Yeah.
Iberian pig, and then coat it in this rosemary and thyme,
Yes.
and I think it's absolutely delicious, and
Yes,
it
I
pairs
think
so well with the freshness of that Grenache wine. It was actually Ron that said rosemary and thyme. If we've got anything with rosemary and thyme, because it's going to go really, really well with the wine. And so, Ron, tell us about why you think this is such a great pairing.
Yeah, well, let me explain a little bit, because food pairing wine and cheese, that's quite difficult. I think it's one of the most difficult in the winemaking for sommeliers. It's one of the most difficult things to do. And normally when I do a food wine pairing, a cheese pairing, I would opt 9 out of 10 times for a white wine. And why? Because you need the acidity, to cut to the fat of the cheese. Or maybe I go for an Oloroso, a strong wine, because in wine and food pairing, the weight of the food and the weight of the wine need to be in balance. But this Grenache, which is young and fresh, has enough acidity and also can be chilled a little bit. And also because Grenache is very well known to pair excellent with the Romero and with Tomillo, with thyme and rosemary, is this the perfect combination, talking about red wine and
cheese.
And a cheese.
I think it's a great pairing. What do we think down
yeah.
here? Like it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good pairing? Like the wine, like the cheese, everyone's looking happy. Right, before you
Yeah,
finish
okay.
your wine, those of you who haven't already, we've got some very thirsty people down
Yes,
the
so
front
30,
here.
yeah.
Very thirsty people down the front here. But we're going to just quickly tell you about the second cheese.
Yes, the second
Which
cheese
is-
is totally different. And I don't know how to explain because it's a secret of the master cheese baker. I will
Top
try.
secret recipe.
Well, I only know that the cheese is made, the same ingredients, milk, goat rennet, salt, and penicillium. But it's 8-9 months mature. It is mature in pasteurized milk. Pasteurized milk is different from raw milk. And it has the rind is
Yeah.
smoky. But how is it smoky? Really, I don't know very well. I know that the caves are covered with wood. And the cheese is elaborate or made,
Yeah,
is,
made a little.
is maturation in a smoke
Yeah.
in a hot temperature.
Okay. But
But-
you don't know anymore.
but I don't know anymore because he never said, go, 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 Raquel, go, go, go.
Ah,
And
so
I
he
said,
chews you all
yeah,
out when he's ready
it's
to
my
do
secret. It's my secret, and I said, well, okay, well, okay.
When he's ready to do the secret
It's
part.
a delicious cheese.
It's
Well,
really
we think
delicious.
so. It's a delicious thing.
I love it because you've got this. You can still really taste the fact that it's a really lovely cured goat's cheese through the smoke. So sometimes smoked cheeses are very, very smoky and it's overpowering smoke and you can't really taste the cheese behind it. And I think in this case it's not. It's a very gentle smoking which just adds to that delicious, complex flavour of the cheese. And yeah, for the same reasons as Ron outlined before, I think it's just a great, great pairing with that Grenache wine. So are we fans? Perfect.
Yeah, it's super
Great.
cheeses.
So you can find Raquel here,
Yeah.
El Pastor de Torcal.
But if
Yes. Oh, we have a
if I
question.
can,
Sorry.
I would like to. Yes.
This one or the smoked one? Oh, the smoked one.
The
How's
smoked one
That's
is over
German.
there.
Yeah. What's the name of it?
Smoke.
Smoked.
Smoked.
Ahumado.
Smoked cheese.
Queso ahumado. Smoked cheese.
Smoked goat cheese. Marcos, please, can you, please, ¿lo puedes mostrar? ¿Lo puedes enseñar?
El queso.
It's this one.
There you
It's
go.
this one.
It's that
yes,
one.
it's this one.
We're very well positioned here. We
Yeah.
don't even have to leave our seats. You can probably shop from there. If you just shop, now you know he's called Marcos. Just
Yeah.
call Marcos.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I
perfect.
would like, if I can.
Of course, please
Yes,
do.
I would like to speak a little bit only to name. Yesterday I was talking about Caroline, but today I would like to speak a little bit about Caroline. Caroline is another
hold it for
cheese
you.
we have. It comes from Ardales. It's over there. And
the
it's
other side.
very special. It's the same master cheese maker. I don't know the recipes. No, I don't know.
Don't know the
But-
recipes. Same cheesemaker,
But
same
it's the
very
same
talented
with
cheesemaker.
our goat, and they are specialized in semi-cure and soft cheeses. The idea of these cheeses is a fusion between ambas cultures, Italian and French. I don't know how, but he studied for so many years, but he decided to come here and to make this kind of cheese with goat milk. Why? One day I asked him why, because of the quality of the goat milk and los valores nutricionales and
The nutritional values of the
and the
goat's
nutritional
milk as well.
values, yes.
Yeah.
For this reason, we have Caroline that are a very, very special cheese, delicious cheese.
And I'm going to just back Raquel up on that because clearly she can tell you her
Yes.
cheeses are wonderful, but I'm going to agree. They are incredible.
This is the Grey of the Mountain, the Briqueta, that has been won a bronze medal last month in Madrid. Madrid, and we are so, so happy.
Yeah, award-winning cheeses for good reason. And I know those of you who I've seen at previous Sabor Malaga ferias have all gone home with some Cabrelain queso.
Yeah.
Because it's so unusual, as Raquel says, to see soft cheeses being made from goat's milk.
Yeah,
It's
it's
usually these cured cheeses like the ones you've just tried. So definitely head on over to Cabrelain. It's just on the other side of the
Yes.
square and try this afterwards. They do a brie style, they do a camembert style. This one's a black
Briqueta,
rind.
yes.
They're all absolutely delicious. So
Yes.
highly recommend you go and do that.
Wow.
Thank you, Raquel. Wonderful
Thank
to
you,
have
thank you,
again.
thank you so much.
And now you're doing such a
Super,
good
yeah.
job. You're never going to be off the hook. Every time you're going to have to do this.
Thank you so much, and enjoy the fair and taste all the flavor of the products that are fantastic.
Yeah, and
Really.
so that's true. Actually, you're here.
Yeah.
You're here, and you want to give people tasters. You want to show people your products, and it's the same can be said about everybody on the market, right? If you're all here to welcome our lovely guests to
of
come and try
course.
the products and
Okay.
help them like you as best you can. Yeah.
Okay, of course,
Super.
I am here. I am over there. Okay.
And so
Thank
is
you.
Marcos.
Thank you so Marcos.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Gracias, Raquel. Okay, super. Well, I think
Super.
we're cooking on gas. We need to hurry up though
and
because
we
we're
are going
about
to
to run out of
sensational
time.
wine. So do we have the time to?
We do have to.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
we have
Okay,
time?
okay, but
Any
somebody-
more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but
We're
you
going to
go-
hold someone else
Okay,
up.
let's
But
go.
that's
Okay, well, let's go to the last wine. Now, we started with two very modern wine. Now we are back into the really traditional world of Malaga winemaking, a spectacular sweet wine. And I have to explain you a little about the techniques of winemaking. If you don't understand it, you cannot understand really where this sweet wine is all about. Sweet winemaking is all about residual sugar. Do I have enough sugar after the fermentation, to be a sweet wine? And you cannot do it in different ways. You can For example, in the midst of the fermentation, you can add alcohol to the wine because the leaves of the yeast cannot survive more than 15 degrees of alcohol. So if you're fermenting, you add alcohol, you stop the fermentation, you have residual sugar, and you have a sweet wine.
Sí.
But it's more or less a trick. It's of course a good trick, but it's a trick. Now we are going to taste the wine. There's no alcohol added at all. It's just the grapes are harvested, they're picked, laid down on the ground. In the Axarquía, you see all the beds on the mountain slopes. This comes from the northern part of the Mollina zone of Malaga, and they are laid down on the floor to dry for at least 7-8 days. Depends a little bit on the weather. And then you're always left with raisins. And then these raisins go into the press, and then you start the fermentation. And that means you have an enormous amount of sugar, that makes a very spectacular sweet wine. But I think that at least for this wine, at least 5, 6, or maybe even 7 kilos of grapes are necessary to produce this small wine of sweet wine.
Ah, that's so interesting. I didn't know that, actually.
That's the reason. I think sweet wines, are amongst the most expensive wines in the world, and nobody understands that.
No, I didn't.
Honey, because it's very difficult to make them. Because if you have really sweet must, you can get all kind of problems with the fermentation, because the fermentation can stop because of the high levels of sugar. Mm-hmm. So only excellent winemakers are producing sweet wines, and because the loads of grapes that go into the bottle, a good sweet wine is expensive.
It's expensive, of course. Makes sense. Makes perfect sense.
So this is, the highest level of sweet wines we produce in Malaga. Naturalmente dulce, no tricks at all. Late harvest, then dried, fermentation, sweet wine.
Okay.
The food. I was
The
a little bit
food,
in a hurry.
yes,
Yeah.
thank you very much, Ron. You're speedy Gonzalez.
Yeah, but you.
Okay, so the food that we're pairing with this, one would possibly expect a sweet, a dessert, and it would indeed go extremely well with dessert. But because Ron and I like to
Experiment a little bit and do something different.
Yeah, we're rebels. We're going with savoury, actually. Well, sweet and sour. And we have chosen to go with this wine, a rulo malagueño, salchichón de Málaga. So, salchichón de Málaga is a very specific product to this area, as the name suggests, de Málaga. It's a Malaga sausage, effectively, sausage meat, pork meat, that can actually be eaten raw. It freaks people out. The first time I had it, actually, I'm going to call her my auntie. She's not my auntie. She's Pedro's auntie. Pili makes amazing tartar de salchichón. Amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
With pistachios, with a lovely mayonnaise, with miel de caña. It's fantastic. But the idea, certainly to me as a Brit, of eating raw sausage meat was tricky to get my head around. So if you have tried it before, you'll know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, today I encourage you to get your chops around some raw sausage. That didn't come out like I meant it to. And we're also going to team the delicious raw sausage with, not this, some mango chutney. So we've got a kind of sweet and sour thing going on here. The sweetness obviously is going to complement the wine really well. And it goes really, really well with the sausage meat. So I'm going to ask for that to come out of the
that gives me the
kitchen,
time to say a little bit more about food and wine pairing with this type of sweet wine. Of course, it goes very well with a sweet dessert. But that's the traditional way of food pairing, a sweet wine. Then you have to look at the fact that this is a very elegant sweet wine, not too high in sugar. I think it's 120 grams of residual sugar, so it needs light, sweet desserts with a little bit of fruit in the desserts. So not a heavy chocolate style of dessert, a light dessert. Yeah. But it also goes very well, and that's why we thought of this little tapa we are going to try with the sweet wine. This all goes very well with pâtés, with foie gras. My wife doesn't allow me to eat it anymore, but it's something,
I'll let you eat it.
Yeah, oh, thank you. Sorry.
I won't tell her.
If you taste this wine, with foie gras, it's a match in heaven.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like Sauterne. But this rouleau, together with the chutney, is also a perfect way to enjoy this spectacular sweet wine.
So, what are we getting on the nose? Can we do a little bit of a kata? We're going to smell.
Of course.
What are we getting? Throw some words out.
It needs to open a little bit, so it's a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, can we do the swishy now?
Now, after I already smelled the first time, and then a swishy always. You start
swishy
without,
works.
and then you swishy, and then you smell.
Okay, can I tell you what I'm getting?
Of course.
Raisins, actually.
Absolutely, that's
makes sense after your description.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Really, like
raisins,
that kind of jammy, fruity.
jammy, super
Plums.
white fruit, super overripe. A little bit of honey, a little
Dates
bit
maybe,
of
honey, yeah. Great.
Still a little bit of almonds in the taste.
Okay, I'm going to taste it. May I?
Yeah, we know, of course.
Now I can swish and taste. Ooh, that's good.
Oh,
That's lovely.
and look
Oh,
again
it's
at that
really-
acidity that's still there, eh?
It is,
You
but
feel
it's
the-
really caramelized, right?
caramel-
It's got like
it's a cam- yeah,
caramelly,
yeah.
butterscotchy
Caramelly
kind of flavour
butterscotch.
to it.
Buonissimo.
Muy bueno, no? And what do we think about the pairing with the rulo malagueño and the mango chutney, for those of you who've got it already? What do we think? Like it? Not sure? This is really going to push the boundaries of the Spanish, because sweet wine and
it's not-
sausage is not typical around here. So, but
Okay,
what do we think?
that's honest.
International community. Love it?
What do you think, guys?
Love
Your
it.
food-
Good. That is the correct answer back there.
Well,
Thank you very
everybody,
much.
it's very personal. Eh? Tasting wine and food together is absolutely, everybody's personal
Ron's
taste.
right. There is
Yeah,
no, there's no right
There's
or
no
wrong.
good and right,
But, I'm always happy for people to agree with me. I'm just going to say something else about this, actually, because the rulo malagueño, normally you see it as a kind of like a dried sausage, like a chorizo, like a dried sausage.
The guy who made
And
it,
I
he
know I'm
wants
going to
to
get the
speak
jam guy coming up right now.
The
yeah,
guy,
Antonio's coming up.
okay.
So I'm just going back to the rulo malagueño quickly to say it usually comes as like a dried cured sausage, but they've also created this one, which is already kind of mashed up for you in the texture that you've just had it. So where before making tartar de salchichon was a real labor of love and required lots of manual chopping, now they've done it for you. Okay, Antonio, please join us on stage. This guy is the superstar of jam from Malaga. Who would have thought that was a thing? Please welcome Antonio. Thank you for joining us on stage. He's been sat waiting very patiently for his moment.
Thank you very much.
This
having me
guy
here.
has incredible English, and he's here to tell us about, well, first of all, his products in general, also the mango chutney that we are trying with the rulo malagueño, and why it works so well with the rulo. Okay. Over to you, Antonio. Tell us a little bit
Okay.
about yourself, about your company, and
Okay. So my name is Antonio. I'm 20 years old. I founded, along with my parents, our company Turbo Jam in 2021, and we started making all of these jams, plus all the 40 plus flavors we have over there. And the premise of the company is really simple: to make everything fresh, healthy, a little bit of sugar, no additives, and just to take the taste from the fruits instead of from chemicals or any of that BS that there's around in the food industry today. Yeah.
love it. And so your jams can be eaten sweet, savoury. They're very versatile, right? Because there's no extra sugar added.
Exactly.
So they're great on toast. Jam on toast is always a winner in all circumstances, as far as I'm
Completely,
concerned.
yeah.
But what else can you do with them? Tell me. Well, we've got one example right here today, right?
So I always say that for normal jams, if you take it out the toast and use it for something else, it's not going to be so good because it's so sugary and it has too many additives to put it elsewhere. But since the jams we make are so high in fruit, you could start using it for smoothies, for yogurts, for desserts. If you bake something, you can also use that to give it an extra kick of flavor for the fruit flavors. If you also want to pair it with cheese, mango goes really well with cheese. Fig
Yeah, last
goes
time
really
we
well
actually
with
paired
cheese.
the cheese with the jams, didn't we? And
Exactly.
it was a hit for those of you that were here last time. You really enjoyed the cheese and jam combo, right? So yeah, it's great.
And then the one we are tasting today with the mango chutney is more of a sauce instead of a jam, but since it has a bit of sugar, we also make it. And this one goes specifically well with meat.
Okay.
Reason why we decided to make this simple tartar with the mango chutney instead of anything else.
So at home, for example, if you were to grill up a bit of presa iberica or something like this would be a good accompaniment
Yes.
to that kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
great.
Exactly.
I mean, I want to try it for sure because I love mango chutney. Because being from the UK, I'm a big fan of
Yeah?
Indian food,
Okay.
and you always get
Yeah,
mango chutney with
true,
your
yeah.
Indian. So yeah, I'm going to try it with some. I mean, I've tried it with this, obviously, but I'm going to take it home and try
Grilled
it with
meat.
some meat.
It's great
Grilled
with
meat.
the grilled meat especially, smoked, grilled.
It's a summer barbecue essential. Okay, so Antonio is exactly the type of producer that we're here to support today, and exactly the type of producer you'll be supporting when you buy from Sabor a Malaga. I'm just going to say something in general terms, which is when you are shopping, look out for it's not very clear here, but you can see the logo. You can see the Sabor a Malaga logo, the blue here. It is on the back of all of the products that are Sabor a Malaga. It is really hard work to get yourself registered as a Sabor a Malaga producer, because they, rightly so, require you to go through a whole number of checks to prove, if you like, that you are indeed small, independent artisan and following all the things that they want you to be following in order to support you. And so when you're shopping, even in the supermarket, some of the supermarkets stock Sabor a Malaga products. If you look for that little label, then you know that you're supporting this type of business. And a young 20-year-old entrepreneur is absolutely what we're here for. So thank you very much, Antonio.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. And beautiful English, this guy. I think he could be doing my job, really. Okay, I think that's it. We're going to have to get off the stage because we've got people queuing to get on. In our defense, we were late starting and it wasn't necessarily our fault. But anyway, thank you so much for coming along today and joining us. We hope to see you at another Sabor a Malaga Feria in the future. The next one coming up is going to be in Ronda. Then we break for the summer because nobody wants to be sitting here doing this in August. And we'll be back again in September in Rincon de la Victoria. So please, 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 if you live here, become part of the crew, become part of the roadies, and follow us around to the different locations. If you're here on holiday at the moment, hopefully you've enjoyed the experience. You've learned a little bit about some of the products and some of the producers that we have here. And we encourage you to have a little bit more confidence when you're shopping, know what you're looking for, and get out there and go and support some of the businesses and take some delicious products home with you. That's it, I think. Thank you very much, Ron, for joining us.
Thanks for having me, and it was a great pleasure to join you.
And we'll see you again soon. Thank you.